I'm not here to register in the mind. Well, I get to touch the hearts of people.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, you guys know I'm your host, Darren Rue, and today we are at the Sesame Studios, where we're still choosing to celebrate a life well lived. Kirayana Mahuma Paul Rapetsoa. Look at the pictures, guys. Very beautiful. We're at the studio right now. We're here to interview people that Paul worked with here at Skim Sam. Oh my God, let's go in this one. Hey, hi ma. About to fit here, a hole. Eish, I don't let anyone come more about Gordon. Barinkali, love you, daddy. Hello. How are you? Hey, team power. See me. Let's up. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good.
Lovely. Good man. Hey,
What's
Hey.
D.
How are you?
Great.
Can't complain. Yeah, but on a team says you fit really, what do we again?
Oh, yes. Okay. So we ready?
Always.
Let's do this.
Always. Let's go.
do this.
Lebza. Rebloma going on.
You see that side?
Thank you.
Come inside, you can see
Thank
that
you
side.
very much.
Thank you. Mr. D, can I please have your phone?
Yes.
And mine.
Okay, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters from South Africa and across the world, welcome to another great episode of the Paul Rapetsoa Legacy Month Extravaganza. And I'm your host, Darren Rue van Rensburg. And this month, the month of September, is the month we chose as Mahuma Group and all its subsidiaries to dedicate this month to a doyen of township theatre, a radio maestro, and an ordinary, humongously, intelligently, oh my God, he was a fully blown artist as a whole. Who am I talking about if I'm not talking about the one, the only Mahuma Paul Rapetsoa? And today on the show, we have an artist of note as well. You guys can hear him on the radios. Yo, Umugo Tobela FM, hello, yo, my God. Otlabawa, let's oh my God. He's also a notable actor on Skim Sam, where he's the doctor. Umona Halilizi, stop that in Jesus' name. Hallelujah. I'm with the one and only Mr. Sebasa Mogale. How are you, sir?
I'm great, man. How you doing?
I'm well. I hope I did justice to your intro.
Yeah, you did.
Indeed. So let's go into it.
Yeah.
When was the first time you heard the name Mahuma Paul Rapetsoa?
In the 80s, because I grew up in the vicinity where Bra Paul was popularly known for his stage dramas. Even before I could realize that he was part of Radio Leboa at the time. Because when I was growing up, because he used to do rehearsals, go stratin sa kogai strata sa kogai ne selebane straight le mone ba dira rehearsals gona ba re ke konkotsana yeah, so ke cinema ya kokasi
kannete
yeah, so ne ke no nna ke thabela mola ke bona gore batho ba dirang. And another part e dirileng gore ke motsebe ga botse gore ke monno ga botse o kare o tshwere dream yaka, because at that time I was still in primary, by the way.
Indeed.
There's someone on a trainer, Ibile one of his actors for radio and also one of his actors for theater at the time. The late Kepa Jacob Malema.
Mr. Malema say.
Yes, Uchago Zone 1. So muno uban trainer karate ko police station ya go sheo. So banong korona ke mona be ke bona mothola a tshoreng dream yaka, except for just karate at that time because we were still boys at the time. And now fast forward, the same guy when I'm training karate. O buile sekolong banong o nyaka go federal studies tsa gae because ha ba le busy ka theater. O ba sna nako ya go ya di classing. O buile sekolong. Now going now like high school. I happened to be in the same class with him. Grade 11 and grade 12. Now the magic happened to grade 12. Because this man was on radio dramas. Una eta school nga tsore script tsa radio drama. A kheta nna re ke mmadishe for rehearsa di line tsa hae. And he told me one thing, that guy. you should do this thing. You should do this thing. And that same year, I was one of the actors ba ne ba le mo groupung ya hae Motako Jacob Kepa Malema ya ba le gona ke thomile go actor ke dirile drama ye leng gore e be le ya the buka cha Spade re di videographer and then di bona ke bana ba ne ba dra Spade ko Leboa at that time, so I got go botsa I'm a dinosaur. Yes, so and that was it. From there 1992-93, then Kimita Paul go the drumming radio.
That is beautiful.
And then I had to go and attend his classes, Action School of Drama, 1996.
Wow, that's beautiful. But take me back to 96 when you actually met Bra Paul. A lot of people from back then and now still remember Bra Paul as a very charismatic and energetical full person.
Yeah.
That's a room. Yeah. You feel that Mahuma Paul Rapetsoa
is here.
Indeed.
That's for sure.
Take me back to your first time meeting Mahuma Paul Rapetsoa.
That was in 1992, actually. I think at the time, Neshetikile ko di drum and radio because ke thomile ka 1991. So ke be ke producer ke someone else, and then 1992 ke thoma go ba gaufi le yena gore hey, if I can also work with this man. 93 then I was in a drama where he was also producing it because he was executive producer ya di drama cha radio at the time. 1993 was the turnaround for me. And I got to be closer to him, and that's why eventually got classing one of his students in 1996, and I also assisted him in training some of his branches years later after his no graduate. I got classing so branch ya Jane First. Ke be ke fela ke ya le ena mo re bua ka di Sundays ga yo dira so you can drive.
You say that perfectly.
I'm his son.
Indeed. But you used to drive back with him, and how were those drives coming back?
No, drives will start as we were going to Jane First. You know, I would drive with him to Jane First because Kotatlanang Kimona long trainer the students around Skukune at the time. Mashupe Pala, by the way, is one of those students.
Yes.
Mashupe Pala is one of the practitioners. So we would drive with him. Hey, the hang after the hang. Oscar Otlakwa stories is one. No, Bra Paul was such an orator. He would tell you one story after the other. And some of the stories that he would share with us, Magala stories so she just sell more drama. Because that's how good he was.
Why incorporated?
Yes. And he would tell us what the stories would create from public transport. Yes.
That's a beautiful perspective
public
to
transport.
Look at it. Yes.
But baba lenka mo di taxi, baba lenka mo di busing, baba lenko taxi rank, baba lenko the bus rank and stuff like that. Those people have got themes for scripts. And that's where he would get most of his stories.
I thoroughly agree with you because my lesson from him was to go and sit in a police station and just sit.
Idiosyncrasies.
Yes, you'll hear the amount of stories that will benefit your script writing forever.
Yeah.
But while we are on that, what's your favorite memory that you've shared with Bra Paul?
There's a lot.
I can believe so.
That's a lot.
I can believe so.
Oh man, that's quite a lot. Apart from the classes, apart from the theater plays, apart from the radio dramas, non-director, producer, he was my dad.
Yeah,
he was my dad. He was more than just a producer to me because I remember I actually Bumatume for me our young brothers. He would tell them what first born that's working. Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's how much he had touched my life and he had impacted so much in my life that he would appreciate me in that manner. hello, son.
Yes.
Yeah, so, and I would say, hello, dads. That's how we addressed each other.
Ke Papa Longwane.
That's correct.
Indeed.
So, and with Skim Sam was such a great honor to be with him in the same production because he was now coming in as an actor too. So, I think I was honored to be part of the cast. Skim Sam. That was the greatest honor.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine. But talking about Maboane Rapetsoa, who is the founder and group chief executive of Mahuma Group,
Yeah.
do you think Mahuma Group is doing enough to keep the name Paul Rapetsoa alive? Because last year we had the first annual Paul Rapetsoa Legacy Month Extravaganza where we were at Library Gardens and him and Makwela Lekalakala had plays based on Bra Paul's life, etc. And one of Bra Paul's plays Beyond, which was performed. And this year we're doing it digitally, as you can see. But do you think Mahuma Group is doing enough to keep the name Mahuma Paul Rapetsoa alive?
So far, so good. So far, so good. I mean, people that you guys talk to who have been impacted by Paul Rapetsoa himself, I think that is also a legacy. And I think it's also a preservation of the name, because some, even though he might not have trained directly, but he had impacted in their lives, and you guys are talking to them, and that way you are telling a story that it's not only about you having been impacted. There are other people who have been impacted, even though they've never been in the same space with him. Because he would influence a lot. Much as he was a radio doyen, much as he was a multi-award winning producer and a multi-award winning radio presenter at the time, he was influencing a lot of people by just listening to him. He built a lot of families. He kept people away from the streets and the drugs by just doing his show on radio. So those people, you can still reach out to them, even though they have never met him, but they actually met him through the airwaves.
Indeed, he used to say, radio is theater of the mind.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Now, all his children know that.
Indeed, we all do. We all do. Sebasa, what would you say to Maboane Rapetsoa, who also created this initiative, the Paul Rapetsoa Legacy?
Yeah.
But what would you say to him, words of encouragement or something of that nature?
I would say, young brother, you can never say it's enough. You can never say you have done enough, because the contribution that Dad had in the community, in the society, in our lives is so much enormous. Because look at me now, I am able to put bread on my on the table because I am diverse. He was a theater guru. He was a radio guru, and he was also a television guru. And now, when you look at me, I'm doing all of that. Indeed. So there's so many of us who have been impacted in that fashion. So we can never say it's enough, brother.
That's very true. I thoroughly agree. And I want us to go back to the time you heard of the untimely passing of Bra Paul. How did that make you feel, and what were you going through at that point in time?
COVID has robbed us of honoring our people. It robbed many of us. At the time, I had just had 2-3 people from my family who had COVID, and the restrictions were so tense also with a number of people. It was in December actually when that happened. Oh man. When I took my phone and called the family, the brothers themselves, it was something that was really, really cutting deep. It still is, but hey, right now I think we're celebrating his life. We would wish that he had stayed longer with us, and we would wish that he had even gone to an extent of producing a number of his plays, converting them to television. Yeah, we would wish for that to have happened.
Indeed.
Yeah. So that's basically what happened at the time when when he passed, we really were torn apart.
I thoroughly agree.
Yeah.
And being torn apart at this point in time, because I guess you just learn how to deal with the pain easier. You learn how to deal with the pain, but it remains. What words would you have for Bra Paul if you got a chance to, looking at this camera over here? What would you say to Bra Paul if you got the chance to?
Dad, you have played your part. You ran your race. Like you always told us that in drama, there's an entrance, and an actor gets space to perform on stage. And when he's done with that, he exits the stage. But make sure, as a performer, that when you are given chance to be on stage with whatever role that you are given to perform, you create a serious dent. And you did exactly that. You came, you entered the stage, you performed, you created a serious dent. And that's why we are here, as many of us and generations to come, to still get to hear a lot about you. And students, I know, when they study drama, they will continue to refer to your work and your impact. Continue to love you. We'll never forget about you, Dad. Yeah.
That is thoroughly understood. Knowing Bra Paul, he wouldn't like us to end this interview on the note that we are on. I would like to change the note that we are on. You know, Bra Paul...
You pushed me there.
Yes,
Come
I
on,
know.
Darren.
That's true. I'm guilty for it. But Bra Paul would like us to end it on... Yes, indeed.
Come on, boy.
Yeah, he'll hit.
No, wait. When you sit next to him and he's directing, you gotta have a hard skin, right? You gotta have a hard skin. Man. That was him.
It definitely was. But talking about that moment, what other funny moments have you shared with Bra Paul?
Bra Paul was, oh man. You know, Bra Paul was such a fun-filled someone.
Indeed.
There's a moment that I remember in one of the dramas. I played two roles. He cast me on two roles.
Yes.
The one where I was using my voice, and there's another one where I was using an old man's voice.
Indeed.
Because that was a role that I played in a theater play, which was an assignment in class, in his drama class. And then he loved it, and he said, okay, now we're going to use it on radio. So when he did the curtain call at the end of the drama, and then he forgot to mention my name, that I was playing the two roles. Yeah. And I happened to go to the radio station at the time when he was actually supposed to record what's next after this drama has ended. Because he had such a sense of humor. It's like, look what happened. That turned out to be such an entertaining way of doing it, because we ended up recording me as that old man.
Yes.
You know, crashing into his studio while he was just about to record what's next.
Yes.
And when I went in, we acted it out like, when the character was called Mutumeri. And then we acted it out. And then he said, okay, so I said, oh yeah. And then I changed my voice. That's when he then introduced that this young man was playing this role and also that role.
Indeed. Give credit where it's due.
That's right.
I trust.
Okay, man.
My brother, thank you very much for taking your time out. I know you're a very busy man. You decided to make time for us because this was very important to you.
It's a family affair.
Indeed. And you are definitely part of the family. I think everybody knows that you do not sit next to Bra Paul comfortably. So, but before we do leave, there's a gift I want to give you.
Okay.
There's no way I can let you go without at least having this. Thank you, my brother.
Oh, wow.
This is just from us as Mahuma Group.
Ke size ya kae pa?
Hey, the ideal plan. The ideal plan, but that's a Paul Rapetsoa
Thank you so
Legacy
much. Thank you so
t-shirt, so
much,
at least
man.
you go out
Wow.
there shining in Bra Paul's name.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, my brother.
Thank you so much for hosting me, Mahuma Group, and thank you for the work that you guys are doing for the legacy Paul Rapetsoa.
Ke a leboha abuti ya ka.
All right, man. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, that was another great episode with the one, the only Mr. Sebasa Mogale, who got me dead in laughter. But it was lovely nonetheless. And like I always say, my name is Dan Roof van Rensburg and I'm your host. And like I always say, stay shining and stay winning. And like Bra Paul always says, thank you and I'm sorry. Before we cut, please give us that Fola Moya Waka and the laugh so we can end with it. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters from South Africa and across the world, welcome to another great episode of the Paul Rapetsoa Legacy Month Extravaganza. And I'm your host, Darren Roof van Rensburg. And as you guys can see, we are still within the Sasani studios. And today, we are giving you somebody that's so intriguing, somebody that makes you switch on the TV every single day at 6:30 on SABC1 Mzansi, for sure. I'm talking about an international multi-award winning director, producer. He has done Crownwood, Florence, 2020 Hollywood Gold Award finalist, New York Movie Awards finalist. He's a director, he's a writer, an actor, a producer, and we all know him to be the director on your favorite soapy, Keraskim Sam, on your SABC1. Who am I talking about if I'm not talking about the one, the only, Mr. Percy L. Gidilo tse monate. Ke motlekile tse monate re ka se motimi matsoho. How are you, my brother?
I'm good. Can't complain.
Lovely. Ke nya go le tlhompha mogolo wa ka. Did I do justice to your introduction?
You can say Percy L Maboane.
Oh, Percy L Maboane. Tango. Yela deserve matsoho gape ba re shu. Deserve matsoho gape. Hallelujah. Let's go into it, my leader. When was the first time le kwa libitso le ba reng ke Mahuma Paul Rapetsoa?
The first time I heard of Mahuma Paul Rapetsoa was in the mid-90s, if not early 90s. In my tender age, obviously, you just can imagine growing up in an environment where you are not exposed to television. I was raised by a very, very strict granny. TV So my option was radio dramas. So I just fell in love with radio dramas. And more often than not, I'll hear Mongwadiki Mahuma Paul Rapetsoa. Mochuelechiki Mahuma Paul Rapetsoa. Ele mo announce also announcing after radio dramas if Hejo Repua Apo he'll actually speak the credits. You know, the radio ki theater of imagination. So he'll give us credits or man would relate this, man would relate that. So I in the 90s I can check Rola. His name was so familiar, like
I thoroughly understand. And I can imagine growing up in Limpopo and you keep on hearing his name on the radio, his name, because it's theater of the mind, like you just said.
That's correct.
So you keep on hearing his name, But tell me about the first time you actually meet him, because we all know him to be a very bubbly and charismatic individual. But how was your first meet up, Liana?
Meeting with Mahuma Paul Rapetsoa was so dramatic because I remember I'd received him as an actor abapala karolo ya Josias
Kannete.
Kuku Mancha's brother. I'm reluctant when it comes to checking actors' actual names. I remember that day I did not even pay attention to the actual Josias character's name. I just got into a studio, gave directions and all that. I came across this larger-than-life kind of a character, this charismatic human being, a very bubbly person. His energy is all over the place, beautiful energy.
Indeed.
So I gave directions, then got back to monitor the whole scene. Then there was a laughter in this scene. Then he started laughing. Then it triggered me. It flashed me back to the 90s.
Indeed.
I'm like, no, man. This laughter is very familiar. Then I happened to ask my colleagues. Then I referred to my call sheet to check as to who am I dealing with here. Then I checked on the actual name, character's name. Josias is played by Mahuma Paul Rapetsoa. I'm like, no, man. Yo, ke legend. Yo, ke feature director, legend. I didn't even check. I showed a scene.
Yes.
His laughter, he's got his signature laughter, actually. He's got this signature laughter. Then I went straight to go studio. I remember khopela tshwarelo. Ke why ke dira phosho kholo so ke sa di introduce ke not introduce ka ke Percy Maboane, I'm your director for the day. I gave directions. Then the laughter. I'm pushing back to
Yes. Your
the
childhood
90s,
days.
90s, ka straight. Ke fetjobala Mahuma Paul Rapetsoa. Ka Paul.
Well, that's beautiful. But tell me, having him on set and directing him, what is a favorite memory you look back to besides this one? What is a favorite memory you look back to that you've shared together?
He would suggest most of the time as to how to do certain things. And definitely, I'm not that kind of fuzzy director who'd limit actors as to they don't have to do this, they must do this and whatnot. I'm not fuzzy. Most of the time, actually, I would enjoy his suggestions, his input. Most of the time, he'd want to input, to have a very positive input, obviously, to look good mo scening.
Indeed.
Yeah, ke motho la beng anya gore scene go sanjo bonagala. This kind of a scene you carrying
I need direction.
Direction. And one day another memory ko mo gopolang ka ona o kilang invite ko academy ya gagwe ko Seshego.
Zone 4.
I had an opportunity of visiting go Zone 4 ko Seshego, and he introduced me to his students, Abulela or Kenamang and all that. And he predicted that I got so surprised that you did your homework thoroughly. I got shocked when you mentioned my accolades.
Indeed.
International accolades. He once said to me, you are going far as a storyteller. Keep it up. And remain humble.
Yeah, he believes in humble throughout.
Yes, most have.
While we are on this topic, that you went to the studio, which is the Matora office complex, Mahuma Group's office studios. When we look back at Mahuma Group, last year we had the first annual Paul Rapetsoa Legacy Month Extravaganza. It was in Library Gardens in Polokwane, where we celebrated him together with Makwela Lekalakala. I'm sure you've heard the name before on radio as well.
Yes.
Where we celebrated him, and this year we decided to make it digitally so we can reach out to more people. Do you think Mahuma Group is doing enough to keep the name Mahuma Paul Rapetsoa alive?
Yeah, definitely. I like the initiative, but we can add more because Paul, I regard him as an epitome of art in Limpopo, without no doubt. The late Mahuma Paul Rapetsoa. It's an epitome of art, without a doubt, ya Limpopo.
I thoroughly agree. He is the...
So, I suggest a thorough commemoration ya gagwe.
Okay.
government also has to know and acknowledge that. In particular, government in Limpopo. They must acknowledge him like, but acknowledge other legends in other tribes. They must not look down upon us because Remapedi and all that. We also know art. We also understand art. They must also give him that stature, like other legends who played a very pivotal role in this industry. The likes of Brabongeni Ngema. He's on that caliber. He's on the caliber of Brabongeni Ngema.
He definitely.
Most definitely.
I thoroughly agree. And what would your message be to Mahuma Paul Rapetsoa's son, Maboane Rapetsoa, which is the founder and group chief executive of Mahuma Group, but is also the creator of the Paul Rapetsoa legacy that we are choosing to celebrate Bra Paul's memory through Maboane Rapetsoa. What words of encouragement would you give Maboane Rapetsoa?
I would say, Maboane, don't give up, my brother. Will definitely support you whenever time permits. And we definitely lost a legend. And as we are only one who losing I remember of his passing. By that time, I was not with the show at that moment. I was doing other things. I literally, shed a tear because he would always be behind me, and he was within my plans because I did a Netflix project, and I was hoping that he'll partake in my other Netflix project.
That's thoroughly understood. You mentioned how you felt when Bra Paul left us, but I would like to give you an opportunity, obviously looking at our audience over here, if you had a chance to say something to Bra Paul, what would those words be?
I would say to Bra Paul, be ready. I've got a role for you for my next Netflix project. Without auditions, it's your role. You are a legend.
He's a legend indeed. I don't think Bra Paul would like us to end it off here. I think he would like us to end it off on a higher note.
With energy.
Exactly. So
you know what I mean?
Indeed. So if you are thinking about Bra Paul, what memory goes back where you've had funny memories with Bra Paul? Besides the laughter and the fall. What enjoyable memories have you shared with the legend himself?
Enjoyable memory. Unfortunately, it's got a tinge of sadness in it. I remember when I visited him in Seshego, I was with my ex-girlfriend.
Yes.
Little did I know that Bra Paul knows my ex-girlfriend's relatives, background actually.
Indeed.
And my ex-girlfriend did not tell me much that he knows Bra Paul and whatnot. When they met, it was that clang moment, and one of those moments, and you know what he does.
I trust. I'd like to give you a chance before we do leave. If you have anything else to say, I would like to give you the platform, or if you are good, we are both good and standy.
Nothing to say, honestly.
No, that's thoroughly okay.
Let's just keep on commemorating Mahuma Paul Rapetsoa. We must never, ever forget him. Each and every year, it has to be an annual thing. We must remember him like other legends. Please.
Bra Percy L, your time is highly appreciated. We are here at the Sesani Studios, and we know we're taking you out of your work, but we appreciate you giving us your time. Bra Paul is looking from heaven, smiling at both of us, appreciating the moment that you took to give us. So people make sure that the name Mahuma Paul Rapetsoa stays alive for generations and generations to come.
Most definitely. Just to add to that, it wouldn't be a bad idea to just have a film about him. A feature film taking us through, basically depicting his contribution in the art arena in Limpopo.
That would be beautiful.
A feature film that will be funded by NFVF, DTI, arts and culture and other moneyed legends in Limpopo. They can definitely contribute to that.
Without a doubt. Directed by Percy L.
I don't know about
We'll deal with it. We'll deal with it, sir. We'll deal with it. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, thank you for joining in this amazing episode where we're speaking to a legend of note in his own right. Who am I talking about if I'm not talking about the son of the soil, Limpopo himself, Mr. Percy L. Bra Percy, once more. Highly appreciated. I'm your host, Darren Roof and Rensberg, and like I always say, stay shining and stay winning. And like Bra Paul always says, thank you and I'm sorry.